And we are live. Hello, everybody out there.
Hello.
My name is Max. This is my wonderful friend and fellow Talk to the Entities certified facilitator, Angelique Bernard,
Hi,
all the way from
guys.
France. And today we're going to chat with everybody a little bit about the Talk to Entities beginning class, which is the foundational set of tools that you should have been given at birth to assist dealing with the spirit world. And then we're going to talk about what's possible and available beyond the Talk to Entities beginning class. Now, how long have you been a Talk to Entities facilitator for, Angel? I know it's a long time, I just don't know.
Yeah, this is a good question. I think in 2017.
So
Yeah.
let's call that 6 years. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So we also both facilitate the Talk to the Entities Intermediate class, which occurs after the beginning class. And the reason we're doing this Facebook Live is because we want to give you guys more information about like what, from our experience after doing this for so many years, what we see in the beginning classes with participants and what we've experienced. And for me, I still continue to experience this when I participate in a beginning class. And then sort of like where that moves to beyond the beginning class, whether it's your first time or whether you've done your 10th beginning class. So what would you say, Angelique, with the beginning class, like you see your class participants and so forth, what they receive, what changes for them, what happens there?
Wow. What I saw is they came from thinking they have some ability or being afraid to started to have the foundation and the strong base from their knowing with the entities, tools, and awareness.
Totally.
This is what I would like to add. Like there's a lot of things that we heard about entities, and then a lot of abilities that we never really developed. And so with this beginning class, it's really like in 2.5 days with all the tools, with the manuals, with the facilitation you get during the class, is like really giving you the foundation to start to deep dive into your knowing with an entities world.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of putting it, actually, because it is, Talk to Entities is totally a knowing class. It's about developing, strengthening, growing your knowing, like what you know. Like you really can't have entity awareness without knowing, because no one else can validate it. You can't prove it. You can't, it's something where when you get to your knowing, and I don't mean like it's a state that you get to or it's an end result, because it's never that. It's always when you have a knowing about something and you just know, it just is. And if you're just doing it in your head, it's not really knowing. But with that beginning class, you start to, I'm actually facilitating a beginning class at the moment over 4 weeks. So it's an online class. And what I'm really seeing with people there is like the light bulbs go on. Like a lot of these people, it's their first time with the beginning class, and I'm seeing a lot of light bulbs going on. Like things about what they're capable of, like Angelique said, like your capacities with the spirit world and your capacities with knowing. And there's all these light bulbs going on. And it's like this discovery. And then what I'm really keen to sort of talk about is, okay, after the beginning class, when we step into, there's the Talk to Entities Intermediate class, which is basically like a 5-hour class. And then there's the advanced class. And then there's a facilitators class too, if you want to facilitate the topic. What would you say about intermediate class? What, like after beginning class, when someone's gone through that, all of the light bulbs going on, they start to discover what they're capable of, what's actually, what they've always been aware of, but never really acknowledged. What then?
Yeah, from the just giving the image with, if we start from the beginning, the image would be to give you have the garden of possibilities with the spirit worlds, and then we give you, the how do you say, the grain to plants. The seeds, yes, the
The
seeds.
seed, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you know that you plant many seeds in your awareness of possibilities with entities. And then so you got the different seeds, you got the tools, and then with intermediates, you start to add actions on growing your gardens or your garden of awareness with and your action with the spirit world.
I love that analogy.
And you know how to, and you start to get into how to grow that every day. It's like, exercising your muscles with all of that to make it real for you, and acknowledging by yourself how it works and making you even more aware every day. Because how Gary says, acknowledge the little miracle and you can create bigger. And it's what's gonna happen also for me, and what I see with the participant, it's acknowledging your awareness, the miracle you can create with entities, and you start creating bigger because your foundation is strong.
Totally. Yeah, you start watering and putting some fertilizer onto those seeds and the plants, and like you're encouraging them to grow, and you're taking actions, like Angelique said, with that. Like, because the intermediate class, you get another manual, and there's a few extra tools in there that aren't from the beginning class, but pretty much everything is in the beginning class. But then you start cultivating and you start exploring more. And something that I've been saying a lot to the beginning class participants at the moment is the tools are, there's sort of like set tools that you can, or processes that you can use to deal with particular situations or particular entities in the beginning class. And you start by using them as they are, just like the clearing statement, clearing entities, which is a clearing process. Like, who are you? Who were you before that? Who will you be in the future? You're taking the entities through this process, facilitating choice. And then once you know that process and you've used that process, then you can start freestyling more as well. And this is part of the intermediate class. You start freestyling because you have a sense, oh, you get how this base works, this foundation, like Angelique said. And then you can start including more subtleties and more nuances of awareness that you have, and including that in the process, and being with entities in the spirit world and what you can facilitate there. And that's part of what the intermediate class really adds, is you start to freestyle a little more and get a sense of what is possible and what you uniquely know.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is something really cool with Talk to the Entities that we learn and discover with the tools. It's that we are all different and we have all our own ability and something special with entities. So we start developing with this special thing with the tools, and acknowledge that everything has a different way to interact, receive, and be with entities.
Yeah. Yep. We all have different ways of perceiving entities and engaging with them. And that's the sort of the nuances and so forth, like how you be with entities, we develop beyond the beginning class. I actually want to mention there too, the Talk to Entities facilitators also facilitate a class called the Business Hour class. And what that means, there's a tool essentially, or a thing that you can incorporate into your life from the beginning class, which is setting business hours. Like, if you're getting a lot of nighttime activity with entities, or at inconvenient times, like you're trying to work or you're trying to sleep or whatever, and you're getting entities that are coming to you, you set a particular time on a day, like 8 a.m. say, for 10 minutes, you're going to do your business hours, quote unquote. It's where you sit down and you start you use the tools, and you're facilitating entities and that process, and that lightens your entity load essentially. And you can do that repeatedly until that sort of load is lifted, and then you sort of adjust with what's required. And the business hours class is this, where you get together with a facilitator for 7 or 8 days, say half an hour a day, and you go through the process of business hours. And it's like a facilitated process of the business hours. So that's another class after the beginning class that you can choose and develop more of those muscles. So, and then let's talk about the advanced class, because now we're getting into some even further territory, you know. And so Shannon Hara, the founder of Talk to the Entities, facilitates this particular class. And there is actually one coming up in Paris on the 17th of July. So this month, live or online. So you can participate from anywhere.
During 4 days, 4 morning European time. And it can be online or live in Paris.
Yeah. Do you want to say more about the advanced class? Because you've done a lot of these too, Angel.
Yeah. Actually, I also started in 2015. Those classes was set up like this: beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And I just did everything in a row just after my bars class with Shannon in Australia. It was, so great. And I can see, you know, that I keep receiving the fruits of the seeds I planted at this time. Wow. Definitely. Yeah. I remember Shannon said during the advanced class that we can ask everything to the entities. And I was like, okay, like if I can ask everything to entities, what would it take for me to get all the Shannon's classes for free and like being able to participate to all of them, you know? And I was like, and like, I dare you. And I remember maybe 4 years ago, I was outside, sit on my stairs, smoking a cigarette and working with Shannon, and we've talked to the entities, and Shannon sent me a message and say, oh, you know what, I would like just to tell you that I would like to give you all my classes. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. And then I get the energy of the question I asked during this class in Noosa in Australia, like, okay, what would it take for having all Shannon's classes, being able to participate? And I was like, oh, wow, can I receive that? I was asking for that, and I received that a few years later. And of course, I'm working for that. Like, entities make me also work for creating and receiving that. But it's like a gifting and receiving. So it's this cooperation with entities that I really love with the advanced class. It's you start to co-create something, receiving from them, like, okay, what can we create together? What I am able to do because I have a body, and you have the awareness and some other brilliant ideas that we can bring in this planet to change the world. And for me, this is really the thing amazing I love about also advanced. It's starting to get the muscles with the first classes, beginning, intermediate, to be strong and build the possibilities with entities for different possibilities.
Totally. And the thing that Shannon often says is like her target, or one of her targets really is, on this planet, is the inclusion of all beings and the judgment of none, which is basically riffing off Gary's definition of the term consciousness. Like, what is consciousness? It's including everything and judging nothing. But it's such a unique element when you apply it to beings, because we all are aware of judgment, and we know judgment. We buy judgment, we do judgment, it's around in the people world. Like, what would it be like if there literally was no judgment? And there's so many different types of beings, and even in people bodies, like, even though we look similar, people are so diversely different. And I'm not just talking about race or culture, but even beyond that, there's like different basically species of people, and like that function really differently, that are really different. And like, what if we had no judgment of anybody, including ourselves, and we're willing to include all beings, including ourselves? Like, totally. Like, what sort of a world would be possible with that? And that's something that Shannon really, she doesn't really talk about it in the advanced class, but she totally facilitates the opening towards that. And yeah, I really love that. One other thing I want to say actually about the class in Paris, this is actually called the Turbo Advanced. And the reason for that is because it's the advanced class just before the facilitators class. And that particular advanced class is a prerequisite for the facilitators class. So all of the facilitators, talk to entity facilitators that are renewing or licensing for the first time are there at that class. So it's like people that are quite advanced, like they've made a lot of choices to have all the prereqs to be able to go to the facilitators class, and they're all at that class. And it's this really different energy. It's really fucking powerful, and I love that because it's people that are choosing something beyond, like quite far beyond this reality and willing to go further. And there's so much, like Kalina is saying here, can't wait for the Turbo Advanced class. Totally. So, yeah, that's a really cool possibility at this time of year, particularly.
And can I ask you, so if you can say something about the advanced class, what would you say in few words? What did you receive?
It's funny, I was thinking that while you were talking about the advanced class, and I'm like, what is, like, it's so hard to put into words for me. And that's probably why I mentioned that thing about the inclusion of all beings and the judgment of none, because energetically, that's something that I'm really aware of in that advanced class. And that's sort of, because people that are choosing the advanced class, you know, have done the beginning, they've done the intermediate, they're going further again, and they're seeking a greater possibility with the spirit world. So when there's a group of people like that that come together, there's so much more possible, is my sense, when people are choosing in that direction. And that's something I really enjoy about the advanced class. Like cognitively, I can't even really say that much about it, but it's the energy of like bigger choices with the spirit world. And, you know, I don't know why, but I want to throw in like the beings of light. Shannon's written a book. It's like a small handbook essentially, but it's such a powerful little beauty. I've read it so many times myself and listened to the audiobook and so forth. So that's something I would recommend. If you guys are interested in that, like what's possible with entities, the Beings of Light book is beautiful. And it really is an energetic creation. It facilitates you the whole way along. And then every time you get to the end of the book, you have like this greater possibility again.
Totally. Yeah. As you said, it's also the being of light book is, as the being of light, you really have to get out of your mind to receive the beauty and this big energy. So it's also allowing us to work more from our knowing and giving up this mind thinking for everything we are choosing and receiving. So
totally. That's like the only way you can really engage with the bigger beings, is like out of your mind. And that's what this whole process of like the beginning class, the intermediate class, the advanced class, and however many times you want to like choose to do those, you're exercising those muscles and choosing for more of that all of the time, which is, from my experience, really awesome. Like Angel said, like the fruits of those choices and those seeds and that labor is like totally worth it.
Yes.
So in terms of if you have done a beginning class or you're doing one currently, I've got an intermediate class coming up in Paris a couple of days before the summit as well. And that's live and online. So you can choose it from anywhere. And there's also other intermediate facilitators. So if you have a look on the Access Consciousness website and you put in, I think it's TTTE Intermediate in the search terms, you'll find all of the intermediate classes that are coming up. So follow your knowing, you know, choose the facilitators where you're like, oh yes, that's totally, because everyone's so different, you know. One facilitator might, you doing a class with a facilitator that you're like a yes with will probably be so much more fun and greater than another facilitator. So follow your knowing with that. You know, your practice of knowing begins when you're choosing the class, not just in the classes.
Totally.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of intermediate facilitators that are offering these classes. So
Yeah.
I recommend that.
Yeah, and your class will be on the 15th of July in Paris, just close to the venue for the summit, the Talk to the Entity Summit too, in beautiful 16 quarter of Paris. And we will be really happy to see you live, also online, if you are joining us for this intermediate class, and you will have a manual also.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's some of the gifts, like from our perspective. We kind of wanted to get out there and share that a little bit from our perspective. Also, because like Angel's been, did her first Talk to Entities class 2015, 8 years ago. I did mine like a little bit, a couple of years before that, or a little bit more than that the first time. So we've both, done a lot of the Talk to the Entities curriculum and choose that in our own lives. So if you want to have more magic and more ease, joy, and glory in your life, you don't have to know. And money, exactly. More wealth of being, which includes money and which includes all of these different energies and these contributions and this receiving that's possible. I highly suggest checking out the Talk to the Entities classes. Yeah, build that foundation, then get out of control more and more and more, and then like discover what's possible for you.
Yes.
Cool. So thanks, Angel, for joining me on this live.
Thank you for this invitation, and see you soon in Paris.
Totally. How does it get even better? Thank you, everyone, for watching, for joining us, and hopefully see you somewhere soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.